Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And we're doing something a little bit different today.
Yes.
Well, we were planning to anyway.
Yes.
We recorded this episode actually live because this is an episode full of our patrons' stories. This is part 2 of patrons' listener story.
Yes.
And we recorded it live, but our audio is gone. It is no more. We have no answers. We are also not very technologically savvy, so it's probably user error.
But it makes no sense because we changed nothing about our normal
except
setup.
for our location. So regardless, we're recording this again. It was really fun doing this live though, because most of them were in the chat with us. So we got to ask questions live and, you know, just kind of
interact.
Get some more backstory and tell them like, how dare you in person.
It was so fun. So honestly, go watch that.
If you want to go check that out, you can on Patreon. We have it posted as a rewatch. The audio is phone audio, so it's not the best. We were hoping to have this lovely mic audio and just post that same live for our regular feed. Didn't work out. So we are re-recording. We are reacting after we've already heard these stories.
Yes, and we can tell you maybe some of the things that other people said.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that would be fun too, because we can like throw in some little things.
They're still good.
These are good stories. So we're really excited. Also, we're going to cut it up because it's so last minute for us. We're going to cut it up into 2 halves. So you're going to get part 1 on Monday and part 2 on Tuesday.
Yes, they're long and they're good stories. So I think it'll be worth the 2-parter.
Yeah.
I really do think the live was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So be ready. Everybody lock in for today and tomorrow.
All right. So our tea today is tea with Tae Irish Breakfast. And it was a good one.
It was, yeah, I forgot that we already had it. It was very good. So let's go.
Our first story comes from Joanna. Hey Ghosties, I'm a fairly new listener of the pod, but I've quickly become addicted and have binged all your past episodes over the last month or so, while also listening to the new episodes because FOMO. I'm currently on the dream episode and thought I would submit my experience with this topic so my ADHD brain can actually focus on the episode. I've always been fascinated by dreams, and some of my earliest memories are of the intense, vivid, and often terrifying dreams I would have as a child. If I'm not mistaken, we share the same opinion that spirits can visit you in your dreams, or the dream world can act as a liminal space where you can potentially get a glimpse into alternate dimensions. I think some version of this is what happened to me. I've always felt very in tune with and aware of the nature of my dreams, so I can tell you that these were not your run-of-the-mill nightmares. Instead of having recurring dreams, I would have a recurring visitor in my dreams, the sight or presence of which would fill me with a sense of dread and absolute, all-consuming fear. This is a feeling I have never felt in real life. It is not a normal level of fear. In fact, describing it in terms of levels feels incorrect, as this feeling is in a class all its own. The dreams themselves were always different. In one, it was like I was inside the cartoon TV show Arthur, which was my favorite show as a kid. I know, weird, but so are dreams, and so are children's minds. I was in the kitchen of Arthur's house, and it was like I had gone inside the TV and was now in that cartoon world. I don't remember the plot of this part of the dream, but I remember vividly when I opened a door that led down to a basement, and suddenly I was not in the cartoon world anymore. Everything shifted back to a real human world feel. The stairs going down to the basement were concrete with wooden planks for handrails, as if I was in an unfinished and industrial sort of building. I knew as I was walking down the stairs that there was something waiting for me. It got darker as I went down, and when I reached the bottom, I saw aisles of shelves stretching out into the darkness. Standing, or I guess floating, in between them was a dark mass, darker than the black of the rest of the basement. It didn't have eyes or any defining features, but I knew it could see me, and I knew it was pure evil. That terrible feeling of fear and dread swelled to an unbearable weight, and I woke up. This was just the first of several dreams, all different, but all with that same feeling that whatever this thing was brought with it. There was one where I was running down a street at night, and this thing was behind me. It was one of those awful dreams where you're trying to run, but you can't. There was another one where I was in an ancient temple, walking down a long, tall corridor, and at the end there was a room with an altar that had a golden round bowl from which a deep blue flame was lit. No black mass, but the same feeling of fear and knowing that evil was present, and that entity was connected to this flame in some way. Side note to point out that I was very young when these dreams happened, around 4 or 5 years old. Yet I can remember them better than most of my waking regular childhood memories. I also don't know why a 4-year-old would be having vivid, detailed dreams about something they've surely never experienced or should even have much knowledge of, like an ancient temple or altar. So I wonder if this entity was showing me this for some reason. Maybe I had entered an alternate spirit realm, or it was a glimpse into the past. I don't know. I realize these theories sound a little crazy, but this is Ghosties after all, so why not explore the possibilities and get a little weird?
Exactly. I didn't even catch that they said that last time. You know what, as you're talking, I'm really glad I'm hearing these again in a more calm setting, because I felt like during the live, I was listening to you, but I was reading the comments and listening to you, reading the comments and giggling, and like I was getting thrown off. So I'm really scared about this story again. It's like scarier because it's in a more like locked in setting.
And we're alone.
I feel alone. Yes. Because it was definitely like we had a big community with us for the first time.
Yeah.
I just poked myself in the eye really hard.
Anyways, I digress. Nothing ever really happened to me in these dreams, and they always ended with me just getting so overwhelmed by fear that I woke up. I didn't make the connection between them until later on. As time had passed and I'd grown older, the dreams eventually stopped. I don't know if it's because we get further away from the spirit world as we get older, or because that thing could no longer find me in the in-between of the dream world, but eventually, one night, it did. I was about 18 or 19 years old, and I dreamt that I was walking down a long hallway with a door at the end. It was just a regular white hallway you would see in a house or something. The door was the same door my parents' house had at the time, white with an oval accent window in the center that had frosted glass with a diamond pattern on it, so you could only partially see through to the other side. As I got closer to the door, I realized there was a black shape with the outline of a man standing on the other side. The intensity of that black shape was made all the more prevalent by the stark contrast of all the white that surrounded me. Its head was level with mine, so if it had eyes, I would have been looking directly at them. I realized, just as I had all those years ago, that it was evil, pure evil, the devil himself kind of evil, and it could see me. It was waiting for me. But despite that all too familiar sense of dread washing over me, I felt compelled to keep walking towards the door. It didn't even feel like I was walking, more gliding, like I was being moved along by some unseen force. Just as all the times before, I got so overcome with fear as I reached the door that I woke up. When I woke up, I was laying on my back and felt this strange sensation rush through me, from my feet, up my legs, through my torso and chest, and out through my head. The best way I can describe it is like the tingling sensation when your legs fall asleep, but it was a rush through my whole body. I remember thinking very clearly, almost knowingly, that it felt like something had just left my body. I'd never felt anything like that before and haven't since. My boyfriend at the time was asleep next to me, but I didn't move. I checked that I could, wiggled my fingers and toes to make sure I wasn't experiencing sleep paralysis or something. I wasn't. But I was still in some sort of shock, so I just laid there, trying to process whatever had just happened. I told my boyfriend and roommates about it the next day, and it was through talking about that I made the connection between it and all the dreams I'd once had as a child. Dreams where I could see and feel something evil and it could see me. As a child, it was just a shapeless mass. By the time it came to me again, it was a fully formed figure that had possibly been close to or powerful enough to affect my physical body. Was it just waiting in the dark all those years, gathering strength to take form and get as close to me as possible? What happens if it's still out there, watching, waiting? I'm 28 now, and that last one was the last time I've experienced one of these dreams or visitations, as I've come to think of them, and I hope it stays that way, because I know it now. However undesirable, I'm familiar enough with this thing that if it came to me again, I would know it is the same being peering out from the shadows once more to let me know it can still see me, and it wants me to see it. And in my worst nightmares, it wants to do much more than that. One last side note, I was only halfway through the dream episode when I paused to write this. When I listened to the rest of the episode, you guys talked about visitations and how they're different from normal dreams. To my dismay, you explained that they were extremely vivid, where whoever is visiting you lets you know they are there and fills you with a powerful emotion. If the stories you shared were the positive side, then I guess this is what it's like when an unwanted visitor, who is not a lost loved one, comes to find you. Cool, super fun and awesome. Hope you got a good scare from reading this. So happy I found your channel and can't wait to hear what spooky stories you're cooking up for us little weirdos next. I have a few more strange yet positive dream stories, as well as some non-dream spooky stories, so you'll be hearing from me again. Threat. Love ya, Joanna.
Okay, again, hearing that while we're alone is horrifying all over again.
Yeah.
I fear I wasn't taking these stories seriously yesterday. I really think I might have been just like, hee hee ha ha, we're all together.
Yeah.
This is horrifying.
I don't like, because visitation dreams, I think I said this on the live too.
They're positive and happy.
They're so, like, they give us hope. And we, like,
Yes.
I think I can speak for you too. Like, that there's something that we find joy in reading about.
Yes.
And, like, it gives us, like, a feeling of good when we're reading these, and, like, good in the spirit realm. Something that we don't have to be afraid of.
Yeah.
But when you take it like this, like, there's something visiting you,
Yeah.
but its intentions are all bad, it's really freaky to me.
It really is haunting. And I think I said I also liked that this was a possibility too.
You did, you
That
psycho.
only for me.
Revenge.
I would like to, visit someone and just be like, hey, I'm watching. I'm still here. I thought that would be silly and fun, but then Macy was like, how dare you? You're evil.
Well,
and
I think
then,
I was more affected by this story than you. And
yeah, true. Because some people were like, I volunteer. Haunt me. Visit me. I was like, all right, I'll add you to the list. That was a good one.
But very, very spooky. So thank you, Joanna, again. Our next story comes from Vicki. Hello, my name is Vicki. I hope you are doing well. I recently discovered your channel and have been binge watching your videos from the beginning. I really enjoy your content and your vibes. I have a few stories to share with you using fake names for privacy. My boyfriend's name will be John and my sister's name will be Sarah. Mimic. When this happened, I was in my early 20s and my sister and I still lived with our parents. One night, I had John over teaching him how to cook my favorite dish when I heard my sister call my name from the basement. I responded, Sarah? But then my mom called out from her room saying that Sarah was not home and was at her friend's house for the night. However, right under the sound of my mom's voice, I heard my sister's voice again, calling my name more urgently. John confirmed that he had heard it too. I am fascinated by the paranormal, but I am also skeptical. Eager to debunk this experience, John and I searched the entire house for my sister, calling out her name. We even went outside and looked in the front and backyards, but she was nowhere to be found. I was ready to fight her or this creature. I repeatedly asked John if he was sure he heard my sister's voice, and he said yes every time with no doubt. At this time, I called her, ready to catch her, but she said she was at her friend's house and had her friend say hi. She was super freaked out by what I told her. I found this to be such a strange thing because my home never had a bad vibe at all. Sleep paralysis. I was pregnant when I had this experience, and I was taking one of those pregnant exhaustion naps where you kind of just fall asleep where you are. I was on my back and my arms crossed over my chest, vampire style. It was day outside and the sun was shining right in my face. It was almost too bright and washed out. My sleep paralysis demon was my mom. She walks into the room covered in blood. In dream fashion, I'm already aware it was my dad's and that she was trying to kill me too. She beckoned me to go with her. This is when I tried to move but wasn't able to. I exited my paralysis very groggily, screaming for help. Hope you enjoyed my 2 favorite stories. Sorry if it's all too long. Let me know if you have any questions. And yes, you can totally share these on the pod. Hope they make it on. Have a great day.
I didn't catch that last story yesterday. I surely did not.
No.
I remember it being like, oh, it was my mom. And we were all like, ha ha ha, sleep paralysis demon is your mom. Covered in your dad's blood.
Wanting to also harm them. That's so freaky because, okay, is this a case of exhaustion, nightmare mixed with, like pregnancy brain mixed with, like a biological thing leading to sleep paralysis? Or is this like a mimic demon coming in and like, just trying to do the worst?
Why is she covered in your dad's blood? I don't like, what does that have to do with pregnancy? Like,
no. I just mean like
brain.
you have very vivid, weird dreams.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like nightmares like this?
I mean, I don't remember if I had any nightmares. My whole brain has stopped working since I got pregnant the first time. So
a lot of people say that.
But yeah, your dreams are extremely vivid, or at least mine were. And I know like other people on like forums and stuff that I was constantly reading said the same thing. Like you get very, very like hard to tell real from not real. So if you're having this super vivid dream and then you're like having sleep paralysis, but it's like more so your body's waking up, but your brain still isn't fully awake,
Yeah, but it's interesting that you say like super vivid dreams, like you can't tell if they're real or not, and being exhausted, falling asleep wherever. I've been pregnant for 26 years, if that is the case.
Well, that's
if that
not
is,
the case.
If that is the case, because
some
this
people
is
just
me.
have vivid dreams.
Yeah.
And I do too from time to time, but like when you dream when you're pregnant, or at least me, when I dreamed when I was pregnant, they were all varied. Like even the most ridiculous, it was just so real and vivid.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
That's why I brought the pregnancy into it. But
I don't like how real that one felt, though.
no, no, don't like it. All right. Our next one is from Mia, and this one comes with a video.
Oh, yeah, it did.
This video is crazy.
It's a good one.
Hey, Ghosties. I'm Mia, and I have been meaning to send you guys my stories for about a year, but the long listener stories line made me procrastinate for way too long. Don't let that affect you and your will to send in a story, because we do jump around. Next month, we're doing Listener Stories Month, and like over half of them are themed. So
I'm so excited.
Send in, because you never know. We may pick a theme that correlates with your story. Just putting that out there. Anyways, I love your pod. I listen to it literally every day on my long commute home and have heard most of the episodes more than once. Anyways, I have tons of ghost stories and grew up in a household where my parents would openly tell us ghost stories as children. I couldn't sleep alone for far too long. Here are a few. The old house. These stories have been relayed to me from my dad and have scared me for decades. Before I was born, my family used to live in a smaller house that lies exactly where our house is now, because that house burned down when I was a tiny baby and we had to rebuild it from scratch. Apparently, a small family used to live in that house before my family did, around the 60s or 70s, and one of their sons, a young boy, actually passed in the house on Halloween. Apparently, his parents didn't want him eating his Halloween candy all night after trick-or-treating, so they placed the bowl of candy on top of the fridge. Unfortunately, he got to it anyway and choked on a piece of candy and passed. I never had any luck finding proof of this, but whenever my older brother was a child, he's now in his 30s, he had an imaginary friend in the old house. My parents would always catch him playing by himself or talking to someone else, and whenever they asked him about it, he would say, "That's my friend," or "That's my cousin." Sometimes he would stay up late into the early hours of morning playing alone in his room, and whenever my parents would catch him and ask him why he's up, he would just say that his cousin came over, but he's gone now. My brother also had a bad habit of climbing into my parents' bed in the middle of the night, either because he was lonely or scared. They would say that he would silently walk into the room, climb into their bed, and sleep between them or on either side of them. My parents told me that one time they were sleeping and heard their door creak open. My dad said, "Joseph, go back to bed, go sleep in your bed," gently, and didn't bother opening his eyes or anything. He heard tiny footsteps patter to the bed, and he felt the side of the bed dip down as if a small child got into bed and laid down with him. Defeatedly, my dad just continued to try to go back to sleep. However, when he turned around to look at my brother, there was nobody there. Another time, my parents were sleeping in my brother's room for some reason. My brother used to have this toy. It was like a rocking horse, but it was a caterpillar, and he had a little top hat. Apparently, when you rocked fast enough or when you pushed down on his top hat, his hat would light up super bright, and I think the toy would make sounds. Well, in the middle of the night, sure enough, they were woken up by a bright light and toy sounds. They looked at each other, slightly disturbed, but went back to sleep because the boy had to have been harmless. I'm sure my family has more stories from this house before it burned down. It also burned down for non-paranormal related reasons, but these are the main stories.
I do have something to add to that I did not know yesterday when we filmed. I was at my friend's engagement party yesterday night after we had filmed, and she was telling her dad, "Oh yeah, like Natalie does this podcast," and he was like, "Oh, what's it about?" And I always feel super like,
I know.
how do I come up and talk about this? You know, because some people are like, "Oh,
you never know if
nice."
they're like believers or not. Yeah.
Yes, and he's just like kind of like a chill dude. Like he doesn't really show a lot of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's like paranormal, like, you know." And my friend was like, "Yeah, it's like ghosts and they drink tea. It's called like Ghosties, blah blah blah." And I was just sitting there like, "Oh no, why are you like telling all my business?" And he was just like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then the conversation ended, and I was like, "Oh God, like he thinks I'm a freak now."
He's someone who doesn't.
A couple like minutes had passed, and then he looks over at me and he goes, "You know, I love that stuff." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "You know, like the ghost stuff." And he's like, I'm really into that like paranormal stuff." I was like, "No way, really?" And I was like, "Have you ever had any experience?" And he's like, "Actually, yeah. At our old house, I was getting home late from work, and we had a hallway with all the bedrooms and like the bathrooms. And Nicole, my friend, her room was right across the hall from the bathroom when she was a little kid. He said he got home. It's dark. He sees Nicole run into the bathroom from her bedroom.
Oh, that just gave me so much like chills.
I know. I immediately like started sweating. He's telling me this. And he said he was standing there waiting to see the bathroom light flick on. And he's waiting and he's waiting. And so he starts going, Nicole, like, come on, Nicole. And he walks in there, turns to her bedroom, dead asleep. She had never
so
moved.
freaky.
And I was like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah. I was just kind of like, well, I guess there's a kid living here. I was like,
It
no.
ran too.
The running, yeah. And then he was like, you ever played a Ouija board? And I was like, no, have you? And he's like, never at my house. He's like, I won't do it at my house.
It's at anyone else's house. It's okay.
Yeah. And then, we just had a good little conversation. But I was like, oh, I don't feel so crazy. Because it's just always a risk.
It feels so good to say like, oh, it's about the paranormal. We tell ghost stories. And they say, oh, then you're like, okay, a fellow believer, tell me what you know.
Because some people are like, oh, okay.
Literally.
And you feel the judgment. And then you just feel like, I am a freak. I am a
well, I don't feel like a
freak little
freak,
weirdo.
but I am like, okay, well, there's obviously no connection here. So
I just
let's
feel
move on.
judged. I feel judged and I'm like, dang it, they know all my secrets. But it was a good interaction. So house stories, ghost children, hate it.
Child in your bed.
Yeah, that's why I was
Creepy.
thinking about it. I don't like it.
Creepy.
You're probably multitasking right now, right? Commuting, working out, cleaning, maybe even working on your latest work in progress. But what about checking in on you? Our sponsor today, Grow Therapy, can help make that part easier. I know sometimes life can get busy or a little overwhelming, but you don't have to do it alone. Therapy can be a way to help you navigate the harder aspects or the big changes that this crazy world can sometimes throw at us. Whether it's your first time or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent, licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends, which is pretty convenient when some of our schedules don't really line up with traditional hours. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments, you just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/ghosties today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/GHOSTEAS, growtherapy.com/ghosties. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Our house now. While my parents were rebuilding the house into the one we have now, my dad experienced a few things. My dad is very handy and has worked in construction or construction-related things for a long time, so he was very hands-on in the rebuilding process. He told us that whenever the house was just a skeleton, he and his friend / the construction lead would meet outside the house early every morning to make a game plan, and whoever left the house last would have to turn off the lights and lock up. For weeks on end, a singular light bulb would be on each morning. My dad and his friend would always think the other was leaving the light on, but each night, one of them would turn it off and lock up. So during the night, someone, possibly the little boy, would flip the switch and turn the light on. Also throughout the build, my mom would often have her friends over. Just like most houses, whenever you come from the street, you see the house and can often see into the house. Our driveway was on the left side of the house, so whenever her friends would come over, they would see the house, drive down the left side, and park behind the house in the backyard. One day, one of my mom's friends came late at night and saw a man in the skeleton of the house. She waved, thinking it was my dad, and he waved back. But whenever my mom's friend parked in the backyard, she saw my dad and said, "Wow, that was quick, I just saw you." But of course, my dad wasn't in the house at all, and we still have no idea who that man could have been. Eventually, our house was finished and we moved in, and this is the only house I've ever really known. But with how many stories my parents told me growing up and my strong imagination, I was terrified of the house for most of my childhood. Naturally, I would be scared in certain parts of the house for no real reason, just a sense. Being at the top of the stairs alone and having to walk down would always scare me, and apparently this is where the kitchen used to be, and the young boy passed. My dad's office that faces the street always creeped me out, and this is where my mom's friend saw the man waving. Our TV room, at the end of the hallway, still freaks me out to this day, and this is where my brother's old room used to be positioned. Whenever we first moved into the house, my oldest brother would also hate the TV room. He would constantly tell my parents that he hated being in there, and he would avoid it at all costs. One time, my parents left him home alone around the age of 10 because he was a big boy and swore he didn't need our grandparents to come watch him. He was asleep in our living room, and whenever my parents got home, they were met by my brother, who was furious. He yelled at them, "Why would you carry me to the TV room?" and was so irate. My parents repeated that they didn't do that at all, and that when they left the house, he was asleep in the living room. But apparently, while he was sleeping, someone picked him up and carried him to the TV room, and he woke up in there all alone.
It's sick. It's sick. I'm remembering it. And as you're telling the story, I'm sitting here like grinning, like, I know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And the people listening don't know yet.
That's how I feel all the time.
Really?
Yes.
I actually kind of
I'm
like
just
this.
Sometimes I'll like remember a really good story and I'm like,
I know. Sometimes you'll be in the middle reading and you go, oh, this is a good one. Yeah. This is how I feel right now. I feel that way with all the people listening for the first time. I'm like, you don't even know what's coming.
As for my own experiences, there were always a few unexplainable sounds or things out of the corner of my eye. But the one I remember the most, and that gave me insomnia for months, was this one. Basically, the way that my house is structured is that we have a large open concept living room. Imagine a big rectangle. On the left wall of the living room is a staircase leading to the second floor that is really just a half floor that has a balcony that looks out onto the living room. Right next to the stairs, on the right side of them, is a long, narrow hallway that leads to a bunch of doors, these being bedrooms, closets, and bathrooms. The door at the end of the hallway is the TV room. So yeah, whenever you're into the TV room and look through the door, all you see is a long, dark hallway and a small glimpse into the living room. We also used to have a huge box TV that whenever you are walking down the hallway from the TV room to the living room is not exactly directly in front of you, but a little to the left, if that makes sense. So, when I was younger, I would always walk down the hallway to the living room and stare into the TV. And when it was off, you could see part of your reflection, and mostly the reflection of the staircase. One day, I was walking down the hallway as usual, staring at the reflection, and I saw the Hat Man in the reflection at the top of the stairs. As I walked further down the hallway, closer to the end of the stairs, so did he. It's like he matched my step, but I couldn't see his body. It was just a black figure in a hat and a long black trench coat. I remember feeling terrified and becoming full of dread as I continued to walk forward, and he followed suit. I sprinted away, not bothering to turn back to look at the stairs, and I ran to my parents' room and ended up sleeping with them for months. It was terrifying.
I think what we discussed yesterday was someone was like, I wonder if after death, that's just a career path. Hat man. You could just be a hat man.
Yes.
Would you choose that?
No.
What would you choose?
I'd want to choose something happy.
Like what?
Something that, like, I'm the spirit that, like, finds your lost things and, like,
that's a good
puts
one.
them in the place that they were before,
That's a
that
good
you
one.
thought they were.
You wouldn't want to just be a menacing figure.
I know what you pick.
Hey, I never
Menace.
specified.
Menace.
No, I wouldn't want to scare people seriously. I'd want to be like, haha, gotcha.
Except for be the opposite of a visitation dream in their
I
sleep.
said for certain people. I didn't
Okay.
say for the masses.
Okay, if you could choose your clientele as a spirit,
Yes.
then maybe. Another quick story is a bit more recent and maybe was a trick of my mind. For more context, whenever you enter my house from the front door, you are placed right into the kitchen. When you look to the right, you see the wall, and when you look to the left, you look into the kitchen, which is an open concept into the living room. But the threshold between the kitchen and living room is an arched wall. So you can't see the stairs, but you can see the moment someone leaves the last step of the stairs and is on the floor. My brother and I had just gotten home after seeing one of the Annabelle movies, and it was late at night. All of our house lights were off, but there are numerous salt lamps everywhere. So even if our house is dark, it's illuminated in an orangey red glow from all of the lamps. My brother and I were still freaked out from the movie, and as we unlocked the door, we were laughing and talking about how freaked out we were to go inside and go to sleep. Wouldn't it be insane if we opened the door and Annabelle was there? My brother and I laughed. Well, whenever we unlocked the door, we swore that we both saw a small childlike figure run down the stairs and turn left, as if they were running down the hallway, all illuminated in the orange red glow. I don't know if that was real or if it was some type of sibling telepathy, but we both saw it. Maybe it was our imagination working the same exact way, but we freaked out. We laughed and screeched in the kitchen for a long while and refused to go into the hallway to go into our rooms, but we were seriously freaked out.
It's the fact that they saw it together.
Yeah.
Both of them seeing it, I'm like, so yes.
No, it was there.
Yeah, 100%.
Lastly, we have the neighbor's house. Growing up, we had a neighbor. Let's call her Anne. As kids, my mom would call her and tell her to meet us at the fence, and we would go and visit and talk with her through the chain link or exchange food. Sometimes, if my siblings and I were playing outside, she would be outside too in her yard, and we would say hi. Towards the end of her life and of her time living in that house before she went to her retirement home, she was struggling with her memory. She was such a sweet lady and would still come and talk to us, but sometimes she would give us rotten food or forget our names and who we were. When she moved away, we still visited her, and when she passed, we went to her funeral, and even though I was quite young, I was pretty sad. For a while, her house sat empty. Then my dad bought it from her daughter, who didn't know what to do with it. My dad's friend, let's call him Mark, moved in with his early 20s aged daughter. Another thing to mention is that Anne used to have a husband who passed either before I was born or when I was a baby, so most of my childhood I knew she lived alone. Well, whenever Mark moved in, he had tons of experiences. He had back pain and would have to sleep sitting straight up, so he sat in the recliner in the living room, and his daughter took the only bedroom. He said that daily he would feel hands on his shoulders and gentle caresses over him, as if Anne thought that was her husband sitting in his recliner and she wanted to pet him.
I hate the use of the word pet. I have to just
Throw
say
that
that
in
right
there.
now.
Mark and his daughter would hear footsteps throughout the house and would often see shadows of 2 feet under many of the door frames. Also, things would go missing throughout the house, or items would be misplaced. Sometimes, food in the pantry would be upside down, or items that aren't even food at all would be in the pantry, as if Anne was confused or lost. But the biggest experience was this one, and I have the video for it. Mark and his daughter would constantly hear door handles shake throughout the house, and finally, he recorded it. In the video, you can see a door handle shaking and shaking, as if somebody is trying to open it, but they have no idea how to, or if they are struggling quite a bit. You can even see Mark's dog in the video looking quite confused. Eventually, Mark opens the door, and you can see it's just the pantry.
The video is so good. Just gonna insert here. Watch it. I can't give you my fresh reaction because it was just screaming.
It was so creepy.
We were all
though.
just screaming together.
Unfortunately, the video is like a little bad quality, and they do address that in the email, but it was so eerie to watch.
Yes, so
like the shaking, you just see it shaking like that.
insert here.
The video ruined me for years. Sometimes when I begin to question the paranormal, I think of this video and I stand corrected. We think that Anne was forgetting where she was a lot of the time in her afterlife and was possibly frustrated when doors wouldn't open for her. The dogs in the video aren't even really looking in the door, so my dad thinks that Anne was actually thinking she was at the front door, but she only had enough energy to move the pantry door, or something along those lines. And of course, the video is terrible quality, but I swear it's real. It was filmed on a super old iPhone years ago and was shared between my family so many times that the quality deteriorated even more. After filming the video and having numerous other things happen to him, Mark asked my aunt, who is very spiritual, to do a cleansing on the house. She did her thing, and the next morning, everything in the house was open, as in cabinets, drawers, and windows that have been plastered shut for over 10 years. Everything in the pantry was completely upside down. Cans, cereal boxes, everything. It was as if a huge release happened and Anne and her husband could live happily ever after together. Mark recorded this aftermath on video too, but the video has since been lost. Since then, my grandma and grandpa moved in after Mark sadly passed and his daughter moved away. My grandparents don't have any stories, or at least they don't want us to freak out, but that's all of my stories. I hope y'all enjoy and that the video freaks y'all out as much as it does me. Maybe one day you guys could do a video/picture only listener story episode and include me in it. Thank you, best, Mia. P.S. I'm shaking after writing all of this out and rewatching the video.
Yeah, it's a creepy one.
It's
good.
spooky.
And I do love when we have evidence.
We do.
It's my favorite.
I don't know what you know about the Patreon pick for next month.
I don't.
Okay, then I will just not say anything.
Like the episode that the patrons picked for next week's video?
For next month's video.
Next month?
Yeah.
Ah, I do not. Like for Patreon or for our main feed?
For our main feed.
Oh, I do not.
Yeah.
Is it a good one?
It's a good one.
I like that they pick and that they vote. I think it's really fun.
It is fun. Our next story comes from Marisol, or Marisol. Sorry if I said it wrong. Hello, girls. First off, I want to say how much I love you guys. Y'all are the highlight of my week. We'll start off with why I've decided to send in this specific story. I was watching Ghosty Party number 51, and y'all had mentioned a creature or entity, later to be described as a hide behind, as I saw in the comments, where these cryptids or whatever they are hide behind corners and peek. This reminded me of an experience I had when I was about 10 years old. By the way, I would love a video on hide behinds.
And again, I'll tell you, I would not. But just throwing that out there
Still might
for
do
like
it.
the 5th time. I would not like one. And if we do one, it is against my will.
I feel like most of these are against your will.
Yeah, a lot.
I was in my parents' room at my mom's dresser minding my own business. I was going through my mom's jewelry that I was told many, many times not to go through. And then suddenly, this feeling came over me as if I was being watched. My dad was the only one home with me, so I had just assumed it was him. Side note, my dad used to play a game with me around this age where he would peek around the door and I would catch him, chase him down the hallway, and then tackle him on the couch. So seeing something out of the corner of my eye wasn't totally abnormal. Still, I had hesitated from looking up, and I had no idea why I was so wary of looking in that direction. After 30 or so seconds, my dad hadn't done anything or said a word, so I turned my head towards him. What I saw was not my dad, but the ugliest thing I had ever seen. My eyes met an all-black figure, very tall, at least 6 feet, slender with very skinny fingers or claws, gripping the side of the door frame. Its face was pitch black and its eyes were unnaturally wide and bright white with tiny black dots for pupils. Its smile was thin and long, curving upward with sharp teeth. The only thing I can remotely compare its glare and smile to is the live-action Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. The interaction only lasted a few seconds, but it felt so much longer. After it disappeared into the hallway, I stayed there for a good minute. I didn't move from where I was standing and was still staring at the door open. After some time had passed, I had finally got the courage to speak. "Dad?" I screamed, my voice trembling with fear. "What?" he replied. "Did you just peep around the corner?" "No." "Yes, you did." "I didn't go over there." "Yes, you did." "No, I didn't." "Stop lying to me," I screamed. "I didn't go over there," he shouted back, clearly agitated. I then asked him to come into their room. When he did, I explained everything that had just happened in the past few minutes. His expression quickly turned to concern. I wasn't the type of child to make things up. I never had imaginary friends or an overactive imagination, so hearing something like this from me was unusual. Being very religious, my family has a strong belief in all things spiritual, especially when it comes to the presence of evil. So naturally, he began to pray vigorously over the entire house, covering every room. As he prayed, he reassured me that I was safe and protected by both him and God. I have yet to see that same thing or anything similar after that encounter, thank God. And after briefly looking it up, I do not believe that what I saw was in fact a hide behind, but hearing about it definitely brought up this horrifying memory. Thank you for reading my email. I'm sorry if I made a short story long, but I hope you enjoyed it. I have a few more stories of my own and some from my family members, so please let me know if you're interested. Love, Marisol.
Hate it. Thank you.
It's really...
I hate it.
The visual is just
There's
so insane.
the phrase hide behind.
Evokes fear.
That's all I needed to hear. I don't
Immediately.
need to hear more about it. I don't need to hear experiences. Just saying a hide behind. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm scared.
No, that's
So thank you.
the word I was looking for. I keep calling it like a peekaboo ghost
I-
or like a something like that. And
You
it's
did.
hide behind. I have,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Our next story is from Annastasia. Dear Macy and Natalie, first, I would like to say I absolutely adore you two. I don't come on YouTube too often anymore these days, but ever since I found you guys, I went back and watched all your videos and keep up weekly now. I pretty much only watch you guys, Sam and Colby, and Tana Mojo. You guys have the same relationship my sister and I have, and when I miss her, I will watch you guys. She just lives like an hour away though. I love that you guys put so much work into your craft, and I also love the message you guys spread being positive. On to my stories. My first encounter. When I was younger, think like 5 or 6, I was living in Illinois in an old farmhouse. I was little, and even though I shared a room with my sister, I was still scared, so I always had my touch lamp on. Well, pretty much every night I would go to bed with it on and wake up with it off. The farmhouse was a 2-bedroom, and there was a connecting bathroom in between, Jack and Jill style. So I assumed my guardians were just coming in and turning the light off. Well, I mentioned to them how I wish they would just leave it on, and they asked me what I was talking about. They denied turning the lamp off and said it must be the previous owner who had passed away. She was a family friend known as Grandma. One week, my older cousin, Deandra, was staying in our room with us. This night, I was laying down, and just as I was drifting off, I watched an old lady come in and turn the light off. She gave me a smile and said, "I love you, good night." She didn't scare me, and for some reason, the dark also did not scare me that night. I remember being really calm, but it wasn't forced. She looked like such a classic grandma. Warm eyes, 100% grandma hair, white, curly, short hair. Well, in the morning, I asked if anyone came in to say goodnight and turn off the light, and they said the same thing they had before. What really creeped me out is that Deandra said she saw her too. This happened like 2 nights in a row.
I still don't like it. Everybody was like, "Oh, sweet grandma." I'm good.
I'm like half and half, like
I'm
sweet,
good.
but also,
I don't need to see it.
yeah.
I don't need to interact with it. Like, you can be there, that's fine. But
It does make me feel better that it's like there was a calming presence
True.
in here. They weren't scared, you know?
that is true. We say that all the time.
I know. Nothing much happened in that house that I can remember. In fact, I had no other experiences until I was 13 at my friend's house. We would always joke about her house being haunted, and we low-key did some bad stuff, like playing with a homemade Ouija board, as well as the game where you use pens and stuff to communicate. I think it was called Charlie Charlie, or something of the sort. Well, this was around the time where it was very popular to do the bottle flip trend. You know, where you flip the water bottle when it's almost empty? We were doing that on her desk and trying to get a video of it. In reality, we were trying to make a video like Dude Perfect, lol. She flipped the bottle and made a joke about it being crap, and she should just knock it off. Well, right after she made that comment, it slowly slid to the side while we were watching it. Creepy. Part 2. Her living room was full of creepy dolls. Her mom used to collect them, and it made for a creepy atmosphere. She also happened to have a shelf full of music boxes and snow globes. We were playing Granny, going around in the dark type of game, and when I was by the shelf, a music box that you have to hand wind went off. When I tell you I almost peed myself, I so mean it.
Owning music boxes or dolls, you're asking for something to happen.
And if both,
You're just
double.
Yeah. You are forcing something to happen at that point.
Colorado experiences. When I was 17, my boyfriend and I moved to Loveland, Colorado, up near the foothills of the mountains. We lived in a truck camper on a family member's property. One night, we were fighting, so obviously I banished him to his friend's house down the road. I was sad, so I stayed up real late on my phone. At this time, I was more scared of bears and mountain lions. I didn't even think about something paranormal happening. All of a sudden, his truck, 1997 Ford, radio, turns on full blast. I was fully convinced that he was trying to mess with me. It definitely scared me, so naturally I was very mad. I texted him a book about how he should not be so petty as to try and scare me with his friends. Well, he instantly texts back, sending a picture that he is at his friend's house still. I did my best not to think about it and just went to bed. Well, the next day, I'm telling him this as we lay in bed watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, banger by the way, and it happens again. We both shot up and looked at each other. He went down to turn it off, and it happened again like 30 minutes later. His rational mind thought it must be a malfunction in the electronics of his truck, but I believe it was something more paranormal. Part 2. Kay, boyfriend's sister, was a bit of an addict. I mention this because I did not believe her when she said the basement she lived in, on the same property, was haunted. She claimed to experience bed shaking as well as hearing things. Well, she ended up moving out and to a better living situation, and we got the basement for winter. Here is where I was proven wrong. We still had her old bed, a twin with an aluminum frame, in the room next to our bed. It was one of those beds that move up and down and was very, very heavy. The first week we are in there, I wake up to a jostling sound. Creeped out, I pull the blanket up to my neck and look over. Luckily, there was a curtain splitting the room, so I didn't see anything. Then I felt our bed begin to shake. I was too scared and ended up just burying my face in my boyfriend. Kay had told us stories of the previous owner having a heart attack in the basement bathroom, and from then on, we heard coughing as well as vomiting from the bathroom. This would literally make me cry. Well, we ended up moving out of state, and we are fine now. Happily ever after, for now. Dun, dun, dun.
I forgot about that one. And
Yeah.
there's a reason. I didn't want to think about that.
The vomiting part.
Yep.
Hearing a ghostly vomit.
Nope.
in the
Oh
middle of
my
the night
God.
sounds like torture.
That is one of the worst sentences you could have ever said to me out loud.
I'm
ever.
sorry. I'm sorry to everyone.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty gross, yeah. Okay, bonus. One night while in the truck camper, I woke up to the sound of something brushing up against the canvas fabric of our pop-up truck camper. And then I hear some loud bangs. I was absolutely, excuse my language, shitting myself here. My brain goes to the paranormal, so I instantly woke up my boyfriend because I obviously need a witness if it is. The suspense is real. All of a sudden, we hear what sounds like a growl and a huff. Well, turns out it was a bear going through the trash right next to us. Let me tell you, this scared me even more. I don't know how that's even possible, but we ended up moving the trash and installing a trail camera so it never happened again. I know this stuff wasn't that scary or anything, but it definitely feels good to get it out. Thanks for reading, even if it does not end up on the pod, but it did. I appreciate all your effort. You girls seem so sweet, and we are basically sisters. I have not fangirled over an internet persona in so long, and it feels so good. I feel like I'm finally back to me, that is, being me in middle school at the height of my personality, duh. I love supporting you guys and hope to see you grow into a large presence on the internet. There is so much negativity these days, and I see you guys as a light. Please keep being authentically you. Please remember your family comes first, and so does your mental health. If you ever need a break, there will be people who understand. In my mind, you are A-list celebrities, by the way. Love, Annastasia.
I don't
That
like
still
hearing
cracks
it a
me
second
up.
time. I really don't. I don't like, it's too kind.
It's so nice, but also
yeah, it's, the celebrity part cracks me up, but it's
we're like
too
D-list regular people.
yeah, barely on the D list of the regular people. Oh my gosh. Imagine if you met us in real life.
I fear you would be underwhelmed.
Severely let down. But anyways, thank you so much. That was so kind.
I feel like all of you are our sister too. So our sisters.
Even the boys. We're all
Even the boys.
sisters.
We're all sisters. Cheetah sisters.
Oh God, no, stop. But yes, those stories were scary. When people are like, sorry, my stories weren't scary.
I mean, I think they're, no, definitely were. I feel like all these stories are scary, but
Yeah.
there is a hierarchy of scary stories. Like
Yes.
there's the sleep paralysis demon that vomited on the person. Like that story.
Oh my God.
Still one of the peak horror things I've ever heard in my whole life.
Was it you telling me about the mimic thing moving the same, and then it was like, is there a mirror in the woods? And then it shook its head?
Yeah, that was that
I've
was
thought about that.
Appalachia story.
I've thought
from
about
Reddit.
that every day since.
Really?
Yes. Oh my. Yeah. So there is a hierarchy, but when you think about it from the perspective of this stuff happening to them, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And in the moment, I would be screaming. So it is scary and it is valid. So thank you
Yes.
for sharing.
Yes, thanks to everyone who shared their stories. So this is where we will leave you for part 1. But fret not, part 2 will come tomorrow
Yes.
by the
On
time
Tuesday.
this is edited. So Tuesday, you will see part 2. And part 2, there's a story in part 2.
Adelaide story?
Adelaide, you got me. You got me good.
Y'all aren't ready.
You're not. Prepare yourselves. So like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so, and subscribe so that you don't miss part 2. You don't want to miss part 2. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok if you'd like to. It's at @GhostiesPod. You can also check out the live reactions of this on Patreon. If you'd like to join, it's patreon.com/ghosties. You can join for $5 a month. We may or may not do a live this coming weekend.
If you can't wait for part 2 tomorrow, you can just go over to Patreon and watch the whole thing right now.
That's true.
I didn't even think about
if
that.
you'd like to, with live commentary.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
it was a lot. But yeah, you can go check that out, or you can just wait till tomorrow. We also, like I said, we're probably maybe gonna do a live this weekend for free on Patreon. So even if you don't want to pay the $5 a month, then you can join for free and go live with us this weekend.
yes, the lives are my favorite part.
It's a lot of fun. Other than that, we will see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.